There are 4 stages. Now, I'm not making this up. This is Psychology 101 in child development. There's 4 stages of kids, teenagers, okay? All the way to 18. So we're going from 0 to 18.
Each of them are motivated by different, their personalities. You know, everything is different. And I think that's where if you try to do everything the same because you don't want to show favoritism, it's like you're really doing it injustice because everyone is different.
We say we discipline with 3 Ds. What are the 3 Ds that we discipline? There's consequences in the house. Do you know one of those Ds?
No, if you shop at REI, you're likely a crunchy friend.
These are the 3 things we will be hyper-focused on disciplining in these areas. Take a guess on at least one of them. Make me feel good about my parenting. Epic.
Okay, I think I've only heard you say it maybe 3 times. Do's, don'ts, and doubts. I don't know.
Oh, what? There's like an actual term.
Yeah, you gave both.
Well, we said scrunchy.
Scrunchy.
But that's like a little bit of like, you're going to go
half and half.
Just like, you're just not going to worry about the food or like the toxic, you know, things that are in a plastic bottle.
Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I know that if you're watching this at any point other than a Sunday, my name is Scott Mendenhall. We're so glad you're here. Maybe you're here because you want to learn something about how to raise a child. We're talking about how to keep your child safe, healthy, and complete. What does complete mean? Those sounds in the background. We're raising a puppy in the studio today, and he's over there attacking something. So if you hear some little chirps in the background, it's because we got Puppy Solo in the studio. We also have another young pup in the studio today. My son, Epic.
What's up, everybody?
Epic is wearing a hat with his name on it. Why'd you choose that hat today? Just because it says your name, or
that, and it kind of went with this brown color, you know?
It did?
It's camo.
Because it's camo and brown?
And brown, yeah.
All right, style. All right. We're also joined with a mom-to-be. She is like, I don't know, weeks pregnant. She'll let us know. This is Lily Arnold. How are you doing?
Everyone. I'm good. It's fun to have you here, Epic. It's fun to see him in this light.
Wait, you don't like me saying weeks? You want to say months?
No, I'm weeks. I'm counting the weeks, not really the months.
Yeah, exactly. But so how many weeks along are you?
15.
15. That's like well over 3 months.
Yep.
Wow.
Baby's thumb is grasping.
Oh, yeah. There you go. The update.
Opposable
the phalanges. He's got some serious phalanges right now.
I say he. I don't know what.
Yeah, because you're
there and they're like, help.
Yep.
I hope it's a boy.
Grabbing in the umbilical cord. I heard that she asked this week. Last week it was if you could use my name. They've asked if they could use Dwayne's name. That said, let's bring Dwayne in. Dwayne, would you be honored if they named Dwayne? They named their son Dwayne. Would you be honored?
Absolutely. Who wouldn't be honored?
Yeah. I feel like I don't know how you.
It is a great honor.
Maybe you know, like what would be the middle name? Dwayne Jordan. That's actually got a good. That's got a good range.
I like that.
Dwayne Wade and Michael Jordan.
There are 4 stages. Now, I'm not making this up. This is Psychology 101 in child development. There's 4 stages of kids, teenagers, okay? All the way to 18. So we're going from 0 to 18. Dwayne, what do you think the first age bracket is? Because there's obviously 4 stages in 18 years, so you got to break this down by age. For those that are watching live with us, would you put in the chats what you think the age brackets break up to? So, Dwayne, what do you think? The age brackets break up in the first one. 0 to what do you think is the first range that you should be aware of?
2.
2? He's going 2. 0 to 2, he says. All right, Lily, what do you think? Do you agree upon that? Have you studied this?
No, I haven't studied it. I did take a class in college, but I was going to say 2, but let's go 1.
0 to 1?
Sure.
Wow. You guys.
That seems young, actually.
Yeah, that's like you just barely got this child out of a
baby. I'll go 3. Yeah, that's
well done. Epic. Coming in clutch
there.
I'll
go 3.
3, 0 to 3.
Yeah.
Dang, I was going to say 3.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, Epic. You could go to the 1, the 12-monther.
I'm just going to say 4.
4. Okay, because why not? One more than others. Okay. But before we give that answer, I learned something from Lily yesterday and Joey's wife, Michaela. They were talking about a new term I was unaware of. What was the term yesterday you were sharing? Dwayne, I want to know if you know these.
Well, this term spans across more than just moms or moms-to-be, but the term is crunchy.
Crunchy. This is a parenting.
It's not just for parenting. No.
No. Okay.
No, if you shop at REI, you're likely a crunchy friend.
All right, the outdoor place.
Term I've ever
What do you explain? Because yesterday it was said in the context of parenting.
Right, but
what
it's
is crunchy?
like a naturally driven, like, you want like the homeopathic remedies. You just like are into natural organics. You know. Have you ever heard of that term?
Yeah,
Being
crunchy.
Crunchy.
Just shake your head no.
Yes,
Wow. All the way down
I
the
need to hear
have.
more.
have.
Okay.
Not often, but
Okay.
I have heard
Your
it
wife
before.
probably definitely
More
has.
natural. Crunchy is more natural. That's the okay.
Just natural.
What's the other side? Because that's what this conversation was. A mom to be and a mom to ask three. They were talking about: are you parenting crunchy or do you parent what? What was the other side?
I don't know if there's like an actual term.
Yeah, you gave both.
Well, we said
Then-
scrunchy.
Scrunchy.
But that's like a little bit of like you're gonna go
half and half.
just like you're just not gonna worry about the food or like the toxic, things that are in a plastic bottle or whatever. But like scrunchy's like I'm gonna like dip my toe, but I'm not gonna be like,
It's not everything.
take out all my non-toxic, silverware or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So that is an opinion. Like that, what we just shared. That is a direct opinion. You will have a controversy. Like every generation kind of looks back at the new wave of parenting and go, I don't know about that.
Sure.
That's just, because it's opinion based. But when it's principle based, those surpass generations. And that's what we're trying to talk about.
That's good.
The first age bracket is 0 to 5, everybody.
0 to 5.
No one got it. I'm
Dang,
sorry.
Epic was the closest.
Epic was the closest. Well done, Epic. We celebrate you.
Yes.
That's good. So
But-
a lot of parenting, different types of parenting happens in that stage, I thought.
Yeah, so the 0 to 5 would be called the discipline years. 0 to 5 is where you are highly disciplining a child. Now, we're going to talk about discipline a little bit later because that has a negative connotation when you say that. But it is setting those boundaries, 0 to 5. You set the trajectory for them to know right and wrong. The morals and ethics of things, 0 to 5. These are the years where who is in control must be established. Who is in control must be established in 0 to 5. Because if you don't, it makes the next stages very complicated. So 0 to 5, those years go by really fast. We always say this, especially like 0 to 10, the years are very long. And really from 0 to 5, they're extremely long. The days are long, the days. But the years are short. They go by so fast, but the days are so long. And pre-parenting, you don't even think, you're like, oh, no, it's so much fun. They just get long. There's just no way around it. Dwayne, can you agree with that or disagree that raising a 0 to 5-year-old, the days are long a lot of times, but the years go by so short? Right?
Absolutely.
They turn 5, and it's gone by so fast. And if you haven't established who's in control in the relationship, it makes the next stage really hard, because the next stage is we're going to play the little game again. The age bracket goes from obviously 5 to what, but this time I'm going to give you, this is the training years. And so if the leader, if who's in control is not established, it's going to be really hard to spend the next 5 to blank years. I almost gave it away. Training.
You said there's 4 stages.
4 stages. So 0 to 5 first stage, that's the discipline years. The second stage is 5 to blank. It's the training years. Epic. What do you think it is? 5 to what?
Say 5 to 10.
5 to 10. That's fair. 5 to 10. Put it in the chat where you think it is. Dwayne, where are you landing on this? Stage number 2 in raising a child is what? 0 or 5 to what?
13.
13. And Lily coming in with a round number of what?
I'm leaning like towards 17 or 18.
Wow.
There's only 4 stages.
4 stages and 18 is
But
the end of the.
parenting, okay, I guess.
Wow, that's a
I
big
was thinking
stage.
more of like parent-child relationships, so that's wrong. So
But this is.
okay, then we'll go 12.
12. And she got it. She almost was way in the deep
It was
end.
a total guess.
Yeah, it was, because you were going to go 18. That's so bizarre.
I
Like,
was thinking parent, like what you said we're going to talk about next week.
yeah, but
More
in
than
that,
this.
all of this is you're teaching the child what your relationship is to the child in every stage. The first one is you're the disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching them. The next one is the training years, 5 to 12. This is gaining understanding years, to understand the why behind the what of your family's values and expectations. Correction is still needed, but with more explanation. We're going to get into this because discipline changes in this stage from the first stage. And maybe I'll just say it right now so it's like fresh in your brain. The first stage, 0 to 5, discipline, healthy, good discipline, we'll break that all down, has to be quick to what just transpired. I think one of the first things that we start disciplining our kids in our house Again, if you're a timeout kind of person, you're a spanking kind of person, those are opinions and parenting styles, and everybody.
Still discipline.
It's still a form of discipline. I do think one works way better than the other, but opinion. But I do have some proof in the pudding of 8 children. But one of the first things we have learned in our parenting with the flat screen TV that hangs on a wall and that is at a height that children can hit with their hands and throw things at, that's usually the first thing we teach our kids don't do. In the first year, 0 to 5, they go up there and they touch it, and there's a day that they look at you and smile, and you say, don't touch the TV, and then they like, ha ha, I'm going to do it, and they hit it. They understand what they're doing, that they are being disobedient to you, and the question now becomes, what as a parent are you going to do? Are you going to say, don't do that and just set them aside? Or are you going to have some kind of discipline? And it needs to be quick. It can't be delayed. It can't be, well, I'm busy. I'm going to discipline you for touching the TV in about 5 minutes. The connection will not be there. It's like raising a puppy. Then maybe you're going to get some puppy training today, too. Puppies, when they have an accident in the house and you catch it hours later, minutes later, if you didn't see them in the act and you go stuff the dog's nose in it, they have no idea what you're doing. They cannot connect the discipline of the screaming and the newspaper to the bottom on a puppy to what had just happened. It doesn't connect to them. But if it's immediate connection or reward, clicks. Same with raising a kid between 0 to 5. Puppies and kids, 0 to 5, very, very similar. You have to connect the discipline to the event very quickly. Now, from the ages of 5 to 18, and the older they get, you delay the punishment. Because in the delay allows them, now that they have their brains firing better, can understand. The delay allows them to process what they just did wrong, how they broke the relationship, and how they're going to make it better. So you delay it. Very different. And that, I think, sometimes in parenting, in these different stages, we continue to try to do what we did for a 1-year-old in this category of discipline and punishment and relationship with a 13-year-old, and you're like, I can't. My child is out of control. It's because you're trying to do something. You're not growing your parenting as your child grows through the stages of life. So you have the discipline years, you have the training years, and then here is 12 to 18. 12 to 18. This is really one of the fun spots, in my opinion. Now, often people don't like this because you ended up with teenagers and stuff. But this is called the coaching year. The coaching years. And it's 12 to what? Last time, Dwayne, you get to go first. What do you think?
You said it.
Oh, 12 to 18. I get my own answer.
That's why I'm curious about the last one, because you said that it's, like you alluded to, it stops at 18. It stops at 18.
These, because, and we'll break down, so you have the discipline years, the training years, and now the coaching. This is where you're coming in, and it's a bit of the locker room speech before you send your kid off to
into the world.
Whatever they're doing. They're getting a job. All right, here's the expectations. You got this. You can do this. You have a halftime speech. How's it going? Where you think you're winning? Allowing them to assess some of the situations, and then you do speak in, hey, this is where I see you could do better. You could be more prompt. You could, all these different things, right? This is the stage Epic's in. Mm-hmm. Right, Ep?
Yes.
You're in the coaching stage?
Yes, I am.
Do your mom and I treat you different than we do, where you have an Inspire who is in the training years?
Yes.
Right? We don't have any 0 to 5-year-olds in the house. Rev kind of graduated out of that. He's a 6-year-old, so he's teetering right around there. And so we have a lot in the training years, and that's where the days are really long. Because sometimes they look at you like, I don't understand, and it's like, I'm talking to a wall. The coaching years are fun. Let me break it down more than even what I said, how I wrote in my notes. This is loving guidance. To be guided from the sidelines to know the play and how to particularly live out their faith. If done right, in previous seasons, this season of less correction and discipline and more correction and depth in the relationship. But it's built upon the other stages. Now, here's a problem in a conversation like this today. You're like, holy crap, I don't have a 5-year-old. I am in these coaching years, and I didn't do that right. That's where you start going to prayer. Because God can come in and sort some of these things out. And so it's recognized, okay, I didn't do those 2 stages right. Now I'm going to make up for it. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So, and the last one is, this is where people get it mixed up. They often take this next stage and they lop it into the training years. And this is the spot we all want to kind of get to as a parent, and this is the friendship years. The adult years, 18 and beyond, friends. Before that, you're a disciplinary, you're a trainer, and you're a coach. Not a friend.
You want to know something funny about that?
Let's hear it.
Obviously I'm in this phase of life being pregnant, and I have a couple apps, and I love reading each week when, like, what's going on, like with baby and with mom. And they use verbiage of, like, I read like 25 weeks till your bestie comes to the world. Like, they use that tone of, filter, which is interesting because for a lot of people, it just gets instilled through all different realms. And I think naturally it's what you would just want.
Well, it's easy.
Right, it's easy, yeah.
If your kid is a friend, if it almost is self-serving to yourself. To be in the friend zone earlier than prescribed in what we're reading here, and this is from kids' books that are raising kids that Holly and I have read, and everybody wants that friend stage because it's self-soothing to you as a parent. Your insecurities are lathered by, but they still love me and want me to be their friend. Again, Epic here. I like having one of my kids here because they can speak to it. Epic and I get along great. We can talk about things. We can play video games. I'm in his world.
Doing what friends might do.
Yeah.
Right?
But at the end of the day, if he loses his temper in a video game, I'm like, we're done, right? Middle of the game.
Game's over. You don't get to finish it. You're done for probably a week.
Yeah. Or in hockey,
yes.
Right? You've been benched recently because you lose the cool. And I'm like, no, that's not how winning's done or losing's done, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not just his friend. You wouldn't do that with a friend. If Dwayne and I are out playing hockey, Dwayne, have you ever played hockey on ice with ice skates? You haven't.
Oh, you need to do it. It's so much fun.
So much fun. It is awesome. But if you and I were out there skating and you threw your stick down, I'm probably not going to... No, I know I'm not. I'm not going to correct you.
When adults do that, it kills me.
I'm not going to go, Dwayne, you need some time out, man. Go sit down. Unless you're punching somebody and you took hockey to the extreme.
It's like, bro, take a second.
Yeah, chill out, like if it's the extreme. But no, if you do what Epic was doing, I'm your friend. I'm just like, all right, Dwayne, man, whatever, man. Right? Because we're friends. We're not. I'm not in that coaching years for primarily for what we refer to the four bigs. They're all into this coaching years, and it's coaching them up, and it can be blurry at times because a coach does get close. You can explain it better, Dwayne, as you've coached, right? It can be blurry. Sometimes it seems like a coach is a friend, but the truth is, no, you're a loving coach. But you coach hard when it's like, no, you're not running hard enough, right? Can you explain coaching how I'm trying to say it in a parenting aspect because you have been a coach for years?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it is understanding it's a partnership at that point of, okay, hey, I want you to do the right thing. Maybe you don't see the big picture. So I'm going to come alongside and I'm going to kind of talk you through it. I'm going to coach you through it. Hey, this is why this is important. We don't throw punches on the ice, or we don't lose our cool because, in life, there's going to be times where, things happen and you want to have a cool head and you want to be able to, respond correctly. Yeah. So you kind of come alongside, and there is that aspect of the friendship there of, hey, I want what's best for you, during this time. Hey, this is where we are. This is what I know is important to you. This is what's important to our family. Our team. So I'm going to come alongside and I'm going to tell you, okay, hey, this is unacceptable, right? Because X, Y, and Z. And then, there will be, kind of ways to, how do we fix this now? So, but it's all done in love. It's all done in love, and it's all done with the best interest in mind, not to show, me as the coach, my dominance. It's like, no, that's right. That's not the important part here.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy for you to even say that, Dwayne, and you're just making it easy to go through my notes here because this is practical stuff and people love this, but through the lens of Jesus principles, right? Because I think parents get scared of discipline because they've seen it so gross at times, and they're afraid they're going to do that, so they avoid discipline. Well, whatever it is, and we don't even like discipline as adults, so we tend to avoid it in our children. But we're going to be held responsible. What did you do with the child I gave you? God's going to ask us when we stand in heaven, what'd you do? I gave you a baby girl. Did you raise her as a young woman to be a woman of God? Did you discipline her, right? You're going to be asked these questions. That's a pretty big deal to me, and I want to be able to say, yes, I did well with what you gave me as my kids and what you put in me as a parent. But I need to, that friendship year, the adult years, here's the statement on the other side of that. This is where space comes. Space, and lots of it. From 18 until the relationship's over because mom and dad pass on. Space, to allow for them to experience their independence by making their own decisions with handoff approach from mom and dad. Unless they are still living at home, that changes a little bit of the dynamics. They are no longer a responsibility to you, even though you still will be available to them as they need for wisdom and advice. They are now off to make all their own decisions. Now, when they live underneath your roof, there are still, no, this is my home. You're going to respect my home. If you don't like my home rules as an adult, then you need to go live somewhere else, right? That's still those pieces. So that's why I put that part in there. It does change this dynamics if they're still living at home because, hey, you're a part of this house. You do have to do chores. Maybe you charge rent when they turn 18. I don't know what your spot is. And so it's not just, oh, you're 18, it's hands off, you do whatever you want. You can come and go freeloaded in the house. No, there's still those family aspects of like, no, if you're part of the family and living in the house, there are expectations. And I think even as an adult, to be a part of this family, there's expectations of how you're going to behave as an adult, that you're still going to see this family as a priority. But all of those are put in the other stages. But as Dwayne already alluded to, as a follower of Jesus, that's the lens we're coming through, we are called to love one another. And we're going to use that love one another as love our children. Because it's crazy. Parenting is a weird dynamic. You are actively raising somebody that hurts you. And they do it not intentional. Sometimes they just are a human that's, trying to become more like Christ. And they say things and they yell things and they say, I hate you. And it's like, as a human, those words hurt. And it's very difficult. We do not parent out of our hurt. We stay true to what we're supposed to do, understanding this child is young in either their self as an adult or a young adult or a 12-year-old, and they're also young in their faith. Because everything we talk about on this YouTube channel is through the lens of Jesus and those principles. What's the Bible have to say on this topic? What are the authors of the Bible write? So Matthew chapter 22, verse 36. Here's a conversation we jump into with a man with Jesus. And he says, teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? So he wants to know, what's the number one thing you think I need to really pay attention to, spend my life to? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the laws the prophets hang on these two commands. He's speaking of the old, which we've been reading, and a lot of us here that come to Unlock Church Online have been reading through the Bible through the year. And maybe you caught it in Leviticus this past week. In Leviticus, which is the third book of the Bible, it's the law being taught and downloaded from God to humans of how we were created to behave. In Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, it says this, and this is God speaking, just so you know, so this is a big deal. You should listen. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. I love how he puts on there like, hey, this isn't some just schmo saying this. I am God.
I like that.
This is a big deal. And so this permeates through Scripture all the way through. Jesus is quoting Leviticus. I believe it pops back into Deuteronomy and other places, is to love your neighbor as yourself. It's a big deal. I love how Mark writes it. In Mark chapter 12, verse 30, he says this, and this is Paul telling Mark, not Paul, sorry, the other guy starts with Peter. It's Peter. Peter talking to Mark. Mark's the ghostwriter. A lot of people believe. And so Mark records Peter saying this in chapter 12 of Mark. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. The reason I'm reading this is I think we read these, love your neighbor as yourself, and we don't ever think about our spouse, our children, and our family. We play these out into the workplace and the people we don't like, and our neighbor who garbage can stays out past the garbage day, right? Whatever drives you crazy. Those are those people we look at. I gotta love those. We do not transpose this and lather our entire family through the lens of we're called to love them. And so what does love require to do in parenting? When it comes to this discipline topic, what does it require? One, I'm going to answer my own question, and this is not an opinion. It requires some kind of discipline, especially in 0 to 12 years old. It requires discipline. Now, you as a set of parents, even if you are a divorced set of parents, it requires a conversation of how you're going to choose to discipline. That's where it comes in. And what is effective? Dwayne, you have 3 kids. Do they all respond to the same discipline equally the same, or do you have to change it up to get them to understand what they did was not wise or unkind, or can you leave it the same?
Oh, I mean, you have to change it up. Each of them are motivated by different their personalities. You know, everything is different, and I think that's where if you try to do everything the same because you don't want to show favoritism, it's like you're really doing it injustice because everyone is different. Yeah,
you couldn't. I mean. You just squashed the narrative that's in culture at the moment and I really think the people that are making up these narratives about parenting needs to be equally shared across, and gentle parenting and all these different strategies, I believe, are from people that don't even raise kids. They're the 20-year-olds that are walking hand in hand with their boyfriend or girlfriend going, when we have kids, we're going to do this, this, and this. You remember those days, Dwayne, when you were, you and Elizabeth were out kids and you're walking through the supermarket and some kids throwing themselves to the ground and you're like, my child will never do that. That is poor parenting, right? Have you ever had a scenario, something of that nature? Yeah.
I mean, you're an expert in parenting from 18 to have a kid, and you realize, I know nothing.
I know nothing. I know nothing. But, man, that stage between no children and that newlywed, it's bliss. I know everything. I know how I'm going to do this. Everything I see in air in, I'm going to know how to do that great. I've had 8 children. They've all thrown themselves to the ground at different points. And I've gone, I remember seeing that child do that in the supermarket. I own 8 of them now. And at first, I think the first time it happens, you get embarrassed, right? Now I just go, you look stupid. Go ahead, do it. I don't say that to him, but in my mind, I'm like, you look crazy. I'm just going to let you just roll around. And now with technology, you just film it. So when they're 18 years old or 13, hey, this is what you did at one point. And you show it back to them like, oh, my gosh. But we want to, in the context of when we're talking about the discipline years, the training years, the coaching years, and friendship years, it is through the lens of loving them as individuals and what they need and how they respond to discipline. In our house, to make it really simple, you can sometimes parenting is done best when we grab what we see other families are doing and it's working to try it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. These 3 Ds that we have held to, we're going to test Epic on the 3 Ds.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah. The 3 Ds that Holly and I have chosen from day one with the first child. These are the 3 things we will be hyper-focused on disciplining in these areas. Take a guess on at least one of them. Make me feel good about my parenting, Epic.
Okay. I think I've only heard you say it maybe 3 times. Do's, don'ts, and doubts. I don't know.
Oh,
that feels...
okay, but think about think about your.
That was just
that's from like
that just came to my mind.
because that's like from Dude Perfect or something.
Do's, don'ts, and doubts.
Yeah, that's not.
You got to think about
discipline where you've gotten
discipline.
When
that's
you
one.
No,
oh my gosh.
No, I said the 3 Ds we disciplined for when you have gotten sent to the bathroom. What are the 3 Ds? Now we're about to catch. With my daughter is on the tech table. She's got her hand up. She's going to take a crack at this. So we're going to call her in onto the stage at the moment. Come on up here, Icon. You can sit. You don't even need to sit. Keep those headphones on, Ep. She's going to. Let's see if your sister, who is younger than you, knows one of the 3Ds. Let's see it, Icon. Right into that microphone. What do you got?
This house isn't fair.
Okay, that's rule number 1. Dwayne, we're failing all across the board. Holly's going to watch this back.
What's the D word?
It starts with a D.
It's a D.
A, B, C, D.
3
Was
Ds.
I closer?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, because it started with a D.
But
Yes.
I mean, that's in his notes icon. So,
Yeah.
but
that's
it's not
rule,
what he's asking.
When I say, hold on. When I say rule number 1 in the house, the number 1 rule in the house is?
Me?
Yeah.
Rule number 1 of the house is not fair.
Yes. That's what Icon's coining. That's rule number 1 in our house.
Oh man.
But the things we
say that again?
discipline.
I
And
missed
you
that.
just tell me
Dwayne,
what it is.
what?
He
Say
missed
that
it.
again,
He
Dwayne?
missed it.
You missed the
say
rule?
rule number one again.
Epic, say rule number 1 in the house.
The house is not fair.
It's not fair. So that's the lens every child knows that when
When one comes home with a frappuccino,
it doesn't mean everybody
and the
gets a
others
frappuccino.
don't. What are we doing here?
We're calling Legend the oldest, so he
Okay,
would have been around the longest in this. We're gonna it's an audible. This is happening live.
Deceiving?
You're guessing.
I would
Just hang tight.
Like
We're about to
You're-
get Legend to see if he'll answer.
I'm on the right track.
You're making more educated guesses than you were.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
at
actually
least they
thought
s-
about it
Yeah.
now.
At least they
Do's,
start with
don'ts,
D's.
and doubts.
Yeah, do's, don'ts, and doubts.
How's that,
Could you
guys?
imagine if we disciplined you for those do's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You did something right. Go to the bathroom for
Yeah.
discipline.
Oh man,
The
Legend.
don't make sense. The doubts is like
He's probably not going to
kinda
answer.
sad.
Well, he didn't answer.
So, but Epic
we're gonna have
is
to
on,
discipline him.
Epic is
No,
on
no.
a track now.
Okay,
He's probably
Lord.
eating.
he's probably eating
Or
that
you
guy.
could just give them. to
Okay,
us.
here we go. We spent too much time. Now we're just going to
Yeah.
give it fail, fail.
was
Historic didn't
closer.
even raise her hand, so. Oh, you did?
What is it?
What were you going to say?
She's like, I'm
Oh,
out.
she doesn't. She's out.
like, I'm out.
It is. Here are the 3 D's that Holly and I filter through the discipline is dishonesty.
I said that.
Unbelievable. Disrespect,
I didn't say that one.
disobedience,
Yeah, I was off.
and
Way
an
off.
optional that we just throw in there 4 or 3.5 maybe is if they're distracted. We don't really do that, but it's like we're not going to have any child that's got ADD. We're going to beat it out. No,
Oh gosh. Wait, so the distracted is not real.
it is not real.
Okay,
That's
got
not
it.
real.
Because
That's
I
not
was
real.
like, I need some clarification. On
No,
that
no, no,
one.
no. That's not real. That's not
So
real.
where
I was
would
gonna
you
say
say
I get
so?
distracted very easily.
He said deceit. Where would you say something like deceit falls? Disobedience?
No,
Disrespect?
dishonesty.
Oh, right.
Dishonesty.
I completely I
knew
slept
that
over
one.
that one.
Yeah,
That was dumb.
and here's why. Here's
Erase
why.
that part.
Yeah, here's why these are a big deal, because all of these break relationships. These are not really in our house an option. This teaches them how to walk through love your neighbor as yourself. Because the minute you tell a lie, you sever that relationship with God and others. When you disrespect somebody else, you break the relationship again with God and others, especially when you go to honor your father and mother. That's an honoring thing, right? So when you aren't respectful, and again, we try to teach these things, and we don't always use these words because it's not like we don't use the D's. But we always teach you lied, right? But Holly and I, we looked for the dishonesty, the disrespect, and disobedience, and then we discipline accordingly to their age and what they just did. And when you get to the disrespect, it's trying to teach them. Okay, Legend's calling back, so we're
Let's just see what he says.
yeah, Legend.
Yes.
Can you accept the video chat, please? You are live in studio.
Legend.
Hey there, Legend.
Beta.
Yeah, can you just click on the camera? Let's just, because we got a question for you, and we want you, you're the oldest in the house, and we're talking about parenting, okay?
I don't think he gets it.
Come on,
Oh, he
believe in
just-
your brother.
Here we go. He's calling back, everybody. This is
This
great.
is such a
We should-
such a production we got.
It's kind of
Yes,
fun here.
it'd be-
Okay, he's got his coat on, everybody.
Oh,
Okay, let's go. Let's just zoom in on the, see if we got, all right. I don't know if you'll be able to hear.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What's up,
Legend. If we say your mom and I discipline, you can go back to my camera here. We say we discipline with 3Ds. What are the 3Ds that we discipline? There's consequences in the house. Do you know one of those Ds by any chance? Go back to the close-up.
I should just text him.
I'm going to go dishonesty.
Yeah, that's number one, baby.
I'm cheering
Dishonesty.
you on. I'm cheering you on so hard here.
You got
Legend.
2 more, Legend. Make us proud as parents.
I've heard this multiple times. Dishonesty, disobedience.
Yeah, that's 2. You got 1 more to make it true, baby.
Come on, Legend.
And this, I always get caught up on the third one.
That must be.
Maybe it might be his greatest struggle.
Yeah, or maybe he does so well. So
yeah,
you did
maybe he's really good at
dishonesty.
it.
You did disobedience.
And
Why do we, back to me on the camera. Why do we have the boys stand at the dinner table waiting for mom to sit? What are we trying to teach you? Oh.
I can't think of a D word you're looking for.
Okay. Well, we won't
It's okay.
press the matter.
He got
You
2.
got 2.
That's
Your
okay.
stock is rising.
I think he could get it with a little more thinking.
But the third one, Legend, is disrespect because it's a D. But we're teaching you to respect your mother, respect women.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Makes a lot more sense. Thank you for your time. Be safe to college. Thank
Bye,
you for
Legend.
Dwayne. What's your thoughts as you've watched the kids go through that? Do you look upon our parenting and go, they got some work to do?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
We
think
do.
The fact that you and Holly both, like, you have that filter created to where you can go through, like, it creates unity, and it kind of narrows the focus.
Yeah.
That's good.
So as I was going through those, I know if everybody can hang with all the ADD moments today. It's been kind of a fun morning. Coming off of last week's topic, this week's already fun. Those 3, dishonesty, disrespect, and disobedience. Disobedience breaks trust when somebody says, be home at this time, and they aren't.
You said you were going to do something and you didn't do it.
Right. So you're teaching them the scripture behind the disobedience, the way we see it, is your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes, and Jesus talks about that. So that's very important in raising a great human. Now, all of these are in the context of just raising a great human. Holly and I don't get to choose if our children give their life to Christ. We don't parent. This is going to be a tough one, Dwayne, I think, for some parents. We don't parent for our parents or our kids' salvation. That is a choice between them. We set up the date between them and Jesus. We practically teach Jesus principles, but this choice is their ultimate choice to surrender their life to Christ. That is so difficult to do. Because if it's on us for them to, then we're pushing things and making them do things that they are not ready to do, versus teaching constantly Jesus principles. And when they're of an age of understanding and they raise their hand or they make a response, then it's a big deal. Wow, you made this decision. Yes, you were raised with these principles, and yes, we use scriptures to raise you, but you still ultimately had to choose to surrender your life to make Jesus your personal Lord, Savior, and King. How's that settle with you, Dwayne, as a parent, that we don't parent for our children to get saved? Have you ever thought of that before?
Yeah, because regardless of, the Jesus principles are not just like for the religious, like they're principles that are beneficial to everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
Whether they have the relationship with Jesus or not. And I think, it takes a little bit, I feel like it would take a little bit of it feels like almost like a catch-22 to where, okay, if I teach my kids, if I'm pushing that relationship with Christ, it's like if they don't accept Christ, it's like I failed as a parent. It's like, that for one is like that's their relationship. That's not like you're not in that equation. But in 2, if they accept Christ and it's like, hey, now I feel good about what I've done. It's like, I'm not in that equation. Like I set them up for success. I set them up to live by Jesus' principles because it's beneficial for everyone. But it's their personal relationship between them and Jesus.
When I read through Scripture, the mechanism of parenting, Dwayne, and to everybody watching, that mechanism was set up by God to be the onboarding into a relationship with God. Because those first, years, I don't know where that real age is of understanding where a child, is responsible for their salvation. I know people have opinions and stuff, and I try to stay out of that conversation because I'm not God. And as we've raised our kids, we're trying to give them Jesus principles so that when they do make a decision to follow Christ, they're far down the discipleship process.
Mm-hmm. They already have principles inside of them.
Yes, that they're already active and activated, because it makes great humans to love your neighbor, to love your enemy, to make yourself second. But when you become a follower of Jesus, boom, it's off to the races. And as you're speaking there, Dwayne, it's a catch-22. It's dangerous if I find value in, I raised my kids so well, they found Christ. Woo, we're winning. Oh, no, I'm a bad parent. They haven't prayed this prayer. I'm failing as a parent. We are the mechanism to train our children to surrender our will or their will to their Heavenly Father. So when we get to those early stages, think about that, the way that psychologists are breaking it down. And these are not Christian psychologists. These are people that are just looking at the nuances of a child's brain and the development. And they're setting it up even for us to understand. Is the discipline years and the training years, those 0 to 12 years for parenting, we are the mechanism of teaching kids to surrender their will, their selfishness to others' wills and their wants. So how to be led by someone, how to be respectful and honoring and tell the truth, and yeses be yeses, so that when they are given the opportunity to give their life to Christ, it's an easy yes, and they already know how to make Jesus their king. That's parenting done right. Is when we've set it up that they're ready to make Jesus their king, and they now know how to pray the prayer that Jesus says. This is how you pray. Your will be done, my king, on earth as it is in heaven. Not my will be done. Your will be done, King Jesus, my Messiah, who has forgiven me of my past. We are the setup to that relationship. That's really, Dwayne, where the weight of parenting, and Lily, the weight of parenting should sit. Obviously, we have parents that are not Christ followers, and there are things you can still grab from Jesus principles that are going to make a pretty good human. And this is just truth. And you even said it. And so we want to be hyper-focused in 0 to 12, making that setup that they know how to surrender their will to other people, to not be selfish, to understand life isn't fair. You're not always going to get what you want, even if you throw a fit. You're not going to get what you want. That's true with God. I can throw a fit that I didn't get a brand new car when my friend did. Where you at, God? Do you love me? And he's going, hey, that's not how this works. My kingdom does not look like that. And so there's a lot of pressure in what I'm saying, and also a lot of, okay, that eases off things, but make me hyper-focused in each stage. And as we read through those stages, moms and dads, you need to look at what stage each one of your kids is and change your strategy. Never discipline out of anger. When it comes to, it's easy. If a child breaks your TV, you're going to be hot-tempered. You just broke my TV. And you're going to want to discipline because you're going to feel better about it. But it won't be to correct the heart. And you got to also go through, if the TV was broken and it's an accident, you don't discipline for accidents. We don't discipline in this home, even though we've defined it. We still have filters, Dwayne and Lily, in this of, was this them just being 6 years old? Was this when Legend and Epic and Inspire and Greatness, they get together and they get wound up and they're starting to wrestle and they lose control, and maybe I'm involved a little bit in there. We start getting wrestling. We tend to break some things here and there. Was that were they disobedient, dishonest, or disrespectful? You could really kind of twist it. Oh, they're being disrespectful to the things in your house. Or, no, that's just boys being boys. And you come in and you just coach all of them going, hey, guys, take it outside. There's an appropriate place for that behavior. It's outside. Now, if they're throwing a football in the house, because we've told them no throwing balls in the house because inevitably something breaks, well, now it's disobedient because we've said don't throw a ball in the house. And then there is consequences on the other side of that. They were already aware of. That's not them being a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old. That's them being disobedient to what we have suggested and said. So therefore, there's consequences. And what Holly and I have done from early on, anytime there's a discipline, we send them to the bathroom to give us as parents time. Now, if they're young, the discipline happens if 0 to 5, discipline is happening in the moment, and it tends to be when they're 0 to 5. I don't have a for instance where I was pretty upset with a 5-year-old because of what they did, because you go, this is a 5-year-old, and usually with our case, I know I can't speak for, but 0 to 5, they haven't done something that's so heinous you're gonna lose your temper. When you get past the age of about 7, it's easy to lose your temper. They get 12 years old, it's really easy to be angry at what they just did, because what they're doing is more impacting your stuff versus when they're 5 years old, it's just minor things. So it changes, but never discipline in anger. The point of, listen, this is the point of discipline, is to guide a child in the direction to go in life. As parents, you are teaching them to move away from sin. Christ-centered parenting is to move children away from sin. That's why I try to tell us to read our Bibles. You got to know what is a sin. Don't applaud that your child did something that was wrong. Oh man, you smoked behind the school.
You said that word.
You said that. Don't go, oh, okay, I've done that. No. Hold on. Coarse language, Bible speaks on that. I'm going to steer you away from that. Here's the pitfall in parenting. We won't parent in areas we find ourselves struggling in, and that's the enemy duping you. We don't parent from perfection. We parent with purpose and where we're trying to lead them. That's just the truth. As I've hired coaches to train me for marathons, a lot of those coaches I'm having teach me to race and get faster, they actively aren't training themselves at the level that I'm going. I'm glad they aren't training me out of, well, right now I'm not running this high mileage, so I could never ask somebody to do that themselves. No, I understand the role that coach has in my life. I'm not asking them to lead me in what, and you do it with me. I'm asking for you to coach me because you have been there. Mom and Dad, you've been there before, so coach them out of your experience. Pitfalls to avoid. So, in this, and again, I wrote this, don't discipline to modify a behavior. You're after a better heart. You're after heart change. It's from the inside out, not the outside in. A lot of times when you see parents disciplining a child who threw themselves on the floor in the supermarket, they don't discipline for that behavior at home, but because they're embarrassed by the behavior, now they're disciplining because you've embarrassed me. I need to modify this behavior. I'm not after the heart change, because a heart change is selfishness. They want what they want. Whatever the fit's being thrown, it is to leverage everything that's in their disposal to get you to go, yes, you can have that. Yes, I'll buy that for you. If you stop crying, I'll give you this. It's like babies and kids already know the game. Let's make a deal where I'm always the winner and you're always the loser, parents. And we get sucked into that all the time. Great parenting is understanding the position of authority, and when I say no or stop, they do it. Now, that's not one and done. That is training them and reminding them. Revolution. What is his real age, everybody? 6? 5. He is 5.
Everybody, what is his real age?
So he's
6.
He's going to turn 6
in May.
This summer. But so that guy, he's of the age where he can cry if my voice gets stern, and he'll cry. And I look at him because there in my house, it's like baseball. There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in my house unless you broke a femur. Then you can cry. But if you're going to cry about voice being raised, it's like, no. Pull yourself together. That's a preference, everybody. Just saying. Right, Dwayne? Sometimes I feel like I got to say that so people understand. I'm not grading your parenting on if your child cries in the home. I'm choosing. Does that make sense, Dwayne?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's not a biblical principle anyone needs to adhere to. I just, for whatever reason, the way I'm wired is, no, like my 2 daughters, Historic's a little bit more of the crier. And I'll look at her and say, why are we crying? And then what do you say, Historic, when I ask you why you're crying? I don't know. I don't remember is some of the things she says she defaults to. I go, oh, no, we don't just cry. Are you actively broken somewhere? No. Why are you crying? Pull yourself together. Holly also parents that way, but those are preferences, people. I don't look at Dwayne, and I don't have a for instance, but I'm not looking at Dwayne and Elizabeth going, oh, they let their child cry. That's bad parenting. It's like, hey, they got a preference. And I'm okay with that. The other preference, I do think Dwayne, and maybe you guys have switched it, but I also want to speak to, when it comes to discipline, some people choose to count, right? I think I've heard Elizabeth at times count. Is that, do I remember right?
Yeah. Yep.
Parenting style, right?
Yep. For
You're
us,
great.
it's, we do the counting because, like, our voices, like, we kind of choose to keep a especially for me, since I'm so, even kill anyway. It's like when they're doing something wrong, it's like they kind of need to know that, hey, you're kind of stepping out of bounds, and that counting is a way of, okay, hey, what am I doing? Kind of a reflection time, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to change my actions really quickly, or there's going to be consequences.
Right. It's a parent. I don't count. But here's the deal. Dwayne and Elizabeth, I watch them. They count, and when they get to whatever number they've all decided upon, I don't know your magic number. I don't know if it's 3, 10. You guys have picked it. But what I have seen with your parenting, when the magic number hits, there's not, okay, I'm going to start over. There's action on your part. All right, you didn't clean up fast enough. Okay, you didn't get to the car. Okay, you didn't do whatever. And then follows the discipline. I'm way different than Dwayne in my personality, right? Is that safe to say, Dwayne?
I think it's safe to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said he's even keeled.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can be.
If I have 103 temperature, I might be
No,
even
you
killed.
can be.
But I'm more of, no, get it done. You got one shot with me, one opportunity. Make it count. When I say take the garbage out, I mean take out the garbage like right now. Now, they've also learned that, if I'm telling, hey, Dad, I just need to wrap this up, then I will. It's like, great, you heard me.
Yeah.
Because in our house, when someone isn't moving, it's like, are they ignoring us? So that's just a preference, people. It's not you have to. Again, if you choose the style I got, you're going to get called the dictator from outsiders a lot. That's what I hear from like our family. Is like, Scott, you're a dictator. It's like, hey, no child out of 8 have died yet out of accidental things. So I said I'm winning. But it's choosing your style and sticking to what you're choosing. Like Lily gets to choose. I think it's going to be so much fun to see. Is she a counter? Is she a screamer? What do you think you're going to be?
Oh my God.
Are you get it done now? We know where Jordan's going to land.
Get it done now?
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably match that, but oh gosh, I don't know. I'd like to think I'll match that.
You'll find out. But when those little ones just smile back at you, it's hard, man. You melt like butter in a microwave.
I better not melt.
You will. There will be moments where
you'll melt.
You'll melt.
I'll melt, but like I hope I can follow through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're
you'll follow through.
Yeah, I'll melt though.
Yeah.
Oh,
I melt to kids that aren't my own. So yes,
That's
I
very
will melt.
different.
I melted Rev when he cries like that. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
I melt at Solo.
Oh my
your
God.
dog.
When he doesn't listen, he just gives those puppy eyes. It's just like, oh, I just can't stay mad at you.
It's the same thing.
It's the same
I
thing.
know,
melting.
but I only do it to dogs.
Only dogs. Yeah, that's all right. You don't have a child. You wouldn't understand it. Now, Paul comes along and gives us love handles to how to walk out, love your neighbor as yourself. And so we can grab a hold of these little love handles and understand it. Lily's cringing over here.
It's a weird analogy, but it's applicable.
It's giving you handles to the love. Here we go. 1 Corinthians 13. We're in a series, The Bright Side of Relationships. The bright side of parenting is there is ways the scriptures teach us how to do this, and love is patient and love is kind. You've grown up in church, you've heard it all the time, and you're like, yeah, that's so old school, but the application of this is so hard, and it's got to be applied to parenting. And not weak love, but strong love. Love that's after heart change and setting up the moment when your child gets a chance to become a Christ follower. Kindness can show I wrote it like this because kindness, especially to like a Jordan and me, I'm speaking for Lily's husband here. I think kindness does get sometimes like, oh, that's weakness. That's being soft. Kindness can sound the opposite of just being strong and stern. But kindness is not weakness or soft. Unkindness is weakness. But let's define it in the way we've often heard to do this. if you're, and before I really do that, I wrote it like this, but unkindness is weakness. If you're unkind, you have lost control of yourself. If you're unkind, something else has control of you. So in our words and sarcasm, unkindness demonstrates a lack of self-awareness. Unkind people don't even know they're unkind, which is unfortunate. Here's what kindness is. Kindness is loaning someone your strength rather than reminding them of their weakness. Think about that in parenting. You're not trying to tell them that they don't know anything or that they're unwise is what I'm trying to say. We're going to loan our strength. So how do we do that in parenting? How do we take this kindness and put it straight in the DNA of our parenting? Because here's the deal. As a parent, you already know where your child's failed, especially when it comes to discipline in those coaching areas. You already saw the failure. And it's hard to not parent out of reminding, hey, you failed. So here's some truth for moms and dads. Lily, I think you know this, but it's a good reminder. When it comes to words, moms talk a lot more than dads, and moms' words weigh 100 pounds each. Dad's words, and I don't know why it is, but it's just truth. As I've watched it over the years, dad's words weigh 500 pounds. Actually, I know the answer. I think, Dwayne and Lily, it's back to last week's topic. That the father, the husband, is the authority in the relationship. And the kids pick up on that. So when the main source of authority speaks, the words are heavier. It's a bigger deal. I know moms wish it would be, I wish I had the weight sometimes in the words. Holly says it all the time. Like when it comes to puppy training, these dogs listen to you, they never listen to me. I was like, well, when you just try to explain it away, it never works. Okay, Dwayne, I've not won that battle when you're trying to teach her how to talk to these puppies. She's like, no, I just want them to listen. And it's like, well, if you just do these things, no, they just need to listen to me. And it's like, okay, good luck with that. Now, when it comes to parenting, and she's like, why do the kids listen to you more than me? I don't even get in that water. I'm like, that pool is for you, Holly. I'm not going to swim in that one. That feels like some kind of trap here. Because if I start answering this, I'm in trouble. She'll often ask that, and it's just the truth. You read it through so many of these parenting books. Dad's words weigh more. So, dads, loan your strength more than you remind them of their weakness. Remind your kids they are capable of great things, and they can do what they're setting out to do. Don't remind them where they failed last week. Because when you remind them it comes heavier. Loan your children your strength. Research shows this, that our kids wake up every day wondering if they measure up in areas in their life. That's where they start. Do I measure up? If they have what it takes to be successful in life. This is research, folks. This is not my opinion. The world they live in makes them doubt themselves. So may we create a world that does not remind them of their weaknesses, but they were created in God's image and He has a purpose for them. May we breathe life into our children at every stage of life that's applicable for them, that would charge them up to conquer the world, that we would use scriptures like Joshua 1:9, be courageous and strong, for I'm with you. God is with you to go out into the world and make a difference. Let's remind them of their beauty. When our kids fail, when they mess up and fall short, and we find a way to side with them and loan them our strength. Now, this is where gentle parenting could get wrapped in. It's like, well, that's where I just let everything go. If they make a mistake, I'm not going to discipline them because I don't want to do that. You're missing this. Discipline is an act of love when doing right, to teach them, to guide them in Jesus' principles. This is not a escape clause of discipline. This is when you see them mess up, not pass the class, they have relationship issues. You don't go, well, yeah, I see that tendency in you. Like if they break up with somebody, oh, yeah, I see that. They're right. That crushes your child, no matter their age. Even if you see it, loan them your strength. Here's how my mom did it, is when I was 21, I knew I wanted to propose to Holly. I needed to get the ring before I did it. And the ring was substantially, thank you, Lee, more money than a 21-year-old had at the time. And I was like, how in the world do I get this kind of money? and I had I picked out the ring. I had it custom made, and I got the price tag. I was like, how am I? It's going to take me 2 years to get enough money for this. And I, at 21 years old, had not been the best with money. I had money, but I just spent it on things. And my parents had loaned me money when I was 18. Not a bunch of money, like $100 for gas. I'm like, I'll pay it back, and I never paid it back. And so my mom and dad, our relationship when it came to money was, I knew at 21 I could never ask to borrow money. It was just off the table. I'd screwed that up. They weren't reminding me that I was stupid with money. They were just like, nah. You aren't paying back what you. It was good coaching on their part. It was great training on their part. I'm thankful for they did that, because those things they trained me with money have now allowed me to lead a organization like a church and make sure we don't go into debt and things of that nature. So how my mom and dad loaned their strength in this, and now obviously on the other side of the story I know these things, but at the time I didn't, was my mom and dad somehow just said, hey, what we'll do is you make payments to us, and then we'll get the ring of some sort of that. And so if you make payments to us, we'll go talk to the guy that has the ring, because it was one of their friends, and see if he'll give you the ring. And so my mom and dad covered the ring, but I was making payments to my mom and dad not knowing the ring was paid for. They loaned me their strength. They had the resources I didn't. They made it to where I was paying the ring place, not knowing my parents already covered the price tag. And so I was able to get the ring faster than I thought I ever was going to be able to do while I made payments to it. I didn't have to wait for the payments to be done because my parents already covered it. It was very kind of my parents to loan their strengths. They didn't remind me that I was bad with money. They didn't remind me that they've tried this before. None of that. They just saw my weakness and they stepped in. That is what it looks like to loan your strength and protect yourself, obviously, and them. My mom did it great. She can make comments on that. My mom's posture, I remember when I was telling her that the situation in the ring, I remember mom distinctly saying, oh no. Like in the minute she said, oh no, I felt like she sided with me in how much pain I was feeling. This is the woman of my dreams. This is the ring stands in between me and her. I thought at the time, but then I realized it was her parents. They were going to say no 4 times. Whole nother story. But my mom goes, oh no. And didn't go, well, if you'd have saved money when I told you when you're 17 years old, you'd have the money. If you had a better job, Scott, if you wouldn't go out with your friends all the time, you didn't do any of that. Oh no, I am so sorry. That's loaning our strength, especially the older. Now we're talking about the older, our coaching years, your teenagers. Move to oh no versus I told you so.
That's good.
It's a great response to our children, even people that get into trouble. Relationship problems, moral problems, and money problems. Oh no says, I thought you would make the right decision. I assumed the best in you. Colossians chapter 3, verse 20 says this, children, always obey your parents, for this pleases the Lord. That's next week's topic. Of all ages, we're going to talk about what's that look like in every generation of your life, or every 10 years. What's that look like? Fathers, do not aggravate your children, or they will become discouraged. Dads, our words are 500 pounds. Be careful that you don't overwhelm and discourage. Loan your strength. Say, oh no, more often than you say, I told you so. Or I saw that in you. Oh no. I put this, I'm going to read how I wrote it. Children must be handled with care. Not gentle parenting. I think kids should eat dirt. I really do. Or play with worms and pick up frogs and all these things. But when I'm talking about emotionally, handled spiritually, handled with care. They need firm discipline, administrated in love. Parents should not aggravate them by nagging, what did I write there? Deriding or destroying their self-respect so they quit trying. However, the opposite of problem occurs when parents are afraid to correct a child for the fear of stifling some aspect of their child's personality or losing their child's love. Single parents or parents who both cannot spend much time with a child may be prone to indulgence, But such children especially need the security of guidance and structure. Boundaries and guidance will not embitter a child. Instead, they will set the child free in life or to live securely within the boundaries.
When you say like single parents or parents who cannot spend as much time with the child are prone to indulgence, might be like wanting to do a lot for them out of, feelings of this doesn't look like maybe it should. Is that what you meant by that?
Yeah, it's almost like as a parent, I feel guilty for the situation I put you in. It tends to happen through divorce. Is like, I know you're going through, so I'm going to allow you to do everything. There's no rules anymore. It also happens so that you look better than the other. But the thing is, and this is through many years of being a youth pastor and being involved in a lot of those situations, those children at the beginning think they love it, but the older they get, they realize that it's put them on a trajectory of a lot of emotional baggage and a lot of things they now have to overcompensate for versus understanding here's freedom inside these boundaries. It's this simple, guys. A fence in the backyard tells anything, little children, hey, outside these boundaries, there's danger. Fences in backyards tend to keep children and dogs safe from running into the street. Hey, you can do almost anything you want inside this boundary. Have a blast. So when we set boundaries like fences, emotional boundaries, dating boundaries, school boundaries, how much athletics you're going to do, these boundaries give freedom. Like, hey, you can do what you want inside these boundaries. It brings freedom. When there's no boundaries, it brings chaos. And it brings an overwhelmness and anxiety through the roof. Boundaries are healthy for everyone. Jesus gives us boundaries. And so we want to bring boundaries into our children and to be clear boundaries for them, that they understand why. The older they get, give the why to the what. Punishment before they do wrong is not a good idea, however. And this is what this looks like. It is, if you don't get your homework done, you'll lose video games. That sounds like a good strategy. It sounds like I'm prompting my child to get something done or there'll be consequences. But what you've just said is, I don't think you are going to get this done right. So I've already given thought to the punishment for your failure. You're not loaning your strength. You're not assuming the best in the child. Though it is, and this is why so many of us get caught into this trap, it's effective. Because no child wants to lose something. But if we would just flip it on the other way and give thought to the reward, hey, if you get all your homework done by this time, then you get an extra 15 minutes of video games, or you can have an extra snack. It's now siding with, I believe you're going to get this done. It might be hard. It's constraining on the time, but I know you can do this. I believe so much in you. I'm siding with you. Always better than giving the consequence before they even do it wrong. Does that make sense, Dwayne, when I say that?
It does. It does. Would this be something that falls under the preference or what?
It can, but I would, I think psychologists, that's where I learned it, is through children's psychologists. They've pointed to just the makeup of a child. When they, remember what I read a moment ago, we'll go back to it, that how children wake up every morning and wonder if they measure up. This is research. So when they measure up, when we preemptively give a punishment in case you don't get it done, we're saying to them, I don't think you're going to do this. So I've already figured out the punishment. The reward says, I know you're capable of doing this. And then this is where you activate the, oh no, they didn't get it done. Oh no, I thought you had enough time. Maybe you're observing why they didn't, and it's a bunch of other reasons, and now different parenting preferences bump into there. But I think this is, I would strongly suggest preference, maybe more than just a preference of 1, 2, 3, do your chore, right? I really, when I read through what psychologists say, and even what Jesus does for us, right? Jesus, though we were yet still sinners, came. He had the reward if we received him. Now, obviously, there's also the consequence if we don't. But the whole purpose of his coming into the world was to be the king of our life and our Messiah. He came in. It was built for our saving, right? And to enter into his kingdom. not the punishment wasn't. Does that make sense? Even the way he was handling us, it wasn't, if you don't do this, it's out of love he was doing that. And I know there's punishment for not being a follower of Christ and things of that nature, but that's not how Jesus led. Hey, can we put Dwayne up there so I can see his cute face? I like seeing him ponder. Mm-hmm. Is that a pondering statement there? Because I get it. You could say, no, there is punishment in that, but Jesus doesn't lead that way.
Yeah, I guess my only kind of where I come down, because obviously, like, as a teacher, every year going into the classroom, okay, hey, what are your rules? What are the consequences for the rules? What are the rewards for, whatever? So kind of having things already made out and kind of posted and things like that. So I guess that's where the only question I had about that is that, I can see it both ways. So,
yes.
It's just trying to get clarification of, okay, hey, is this another preference, or is this like actual, biblical, principles to live by?
1 Corinthians 13, 4-7 says this: love does not dishonor others. There again is one of the D's for us, dishonor, right? Honor is superior to obedience. So it one-ups it. It's like we're looking for honor. Out of honor, you're going to do less of obedience. This can also sound contradictory to what we're saying in disobedience. We have consequences. I wrote this: if our goal is to raise kids that are disobedience, we're selling our kids short. Dwayne, this is where we're going to your question about rules, and again, being different in a school environment because you're dealing with masses of kids, right? You tend to have rules. But here's what happens with rules. If our goal is to raise kids that are disobedience, we're selling our kids short. We are parenting to the lowest common denominator. Our parenting goal needs to be teaching Jesus principles that when we make the decision to follow Jesus, we already know what it looks like. When honor is the standard that is upheld, there is no need for rules. When there is a lack of honor, we can't have enough rules. For you have to cover a multitude of things. So when I heard you say that in a classroom, I hear from teachers all the time. Kids these days are so disrespectful. They lack honor. It's not taught. Honor is not intuitive. It is not even natural. It is taught and caught. So Dwayne, when I say that and I think about your school area, you got a whole bunch of kids that are disrespectful. If you don't have rules and cover the gamut of it, hey, we will not, don't put gum underneath, rule, don't have candy in the room or whatever, don't put gum underneath. You have to cover all the rules because that is a disrespectful thing to your classroom, your environment. You will raise your hand, you will walk. It's all about most of those rules. I wonder if you look through all of it, a lot has to do with honor or the lack of. Does that kind of answer your question there?
It does. And I think, again, going back to, what you're talking about, the whole philosophy of, the coaching aspect, like if it's just about the training, then like that's one thing. But the coaching, it takes more to come alongside. And I think with that coaching as well, being able to talk through them, as opposed to assign a consequence off the bat, talk through it and say, okay, hey, I've heard you say numerous times when, being around you and your family, it's like, okay, hey, you broke the relationship. How are you going to fix it? To where, it involves them in that part of the equation of, okay, hey, the consequences don't come on me, but we're going to figure out together, talk through it together, and me coach you up on how you can go about making this right. So with that heart, it does make sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
So I wrote it like this in my notes. Every time starting with adults and then our kids, every time we honor someone, we are celebrating that the fact that God put us first by sending Jesus to take the weight of our sins. So our job, first and foremost, as a follower of Jesus, is to model it, expect it, teach it. Model it, accept it, teach it. Teach it to your kids. Teach it to your brothers and sisters' kids. Teach it. Model it. Expect it. So this is one of the areas. Holly's been gone this week. And we have kept the house clean. I've made the bed. Like, just trying to do all the roles Holly's doing. Making sure the laundry's done, folded. And when she gets home, all those things are done. Not because I like that stuff. It's a way to teach to the 8 children in our house, we are going to honor your mother. These are the things she likes. These are the things she enjoys. She likes a picked up home. I'm on the same team as your mom. We're going to do the things she does while she's not here. We're going to, I ramped up homeschooling. I was the dean, moved into the classroom this week, and they're all ready for mom to come back because I ramped it up. Not because Holly's doing a bad job, but I wanted to honor and teach. I value what your mom does to a T that I could take and make homeschooling be done faster for her. And so I ramped it up this week. Not because I was like, she does a bad job and I can do it better. It's the way to honor it. So what have I done for the kids this week? They've seen me model it to their mom. So when I ask them to respect their mom and speak nice, don't talk back to your mother, I'm big on that. The minute a child speaks back to their mom, I'm on a hot pursuit on them. I don't like it. It falls in the disrespect and disobedient category, and I'm not going to put up with it. She's my wife first, and you're going to speak to her with respect. I don't yell at her ever. They've never seen me raise my voice at her or call her a name outside of being funny. They've never watched it. They won't do it. And so it's got to be modeled, then expected, and then taught how to do it. That's why all the boys at the dinner table, they are not allowed to sit until mom sits down. If mom gets up from the dinner table, they all stand up. I'm teaching them to be mindful of the woman in the house. What's she doing, and how can I help her? Now we're at the spot that as soon as mom begins to stand, they're like, what can I get you? Because the rest of the kids want to keep eating. So now they move. Okay, I'll get the salt and pepper. Or they're making sure it all gets to the table. So what have we done? We modeled it, expected it, and taught it, and now they're doing it. So the whole point of what is you just got to look for those moments to parent through. And again, dishonesty, disrespect, and disobedience are the 3 Ds we use, but they're layers. You can't have one without the other. So I know we're talking about disobedience makes rules, but we're talking about disobedience on Jesus' principles, disobedience in the disrespect and dishonesty, and it's layered through that. It's not rules of your bed must be made. We're kind of easy going on that. It's not an everyday deal. You got to get your chores done. That's not a rule. That's the honoring piece. Like, this is honoring this family by you getting it's not a rule. It's more of expectations. We don't have rules anywhere in the house. It's these 3 Ds, and they are layered through love, through Jesus' principles. And so we could continue to do, I got so many other notes, but the thing is you've got to ask the big question. How do I discipline towards restoration as a parent in every stage? How are you disciplining to restore the relationship? Dwayne, you alluded to it a second ago. Everything that breaks relationship, sin breaks relationship with God and others, and those are the things we're parenting through. We need our kids, Holly and I, and your kids, to own their mess, and make it right. Restore the relationship. Because it's the same thing when we sin as adults, we need to restore our relationship with God and with others. And so we are constantly grabbing a kid. They get disciplined, and now you've got to go make it right. If you lied to your mom, okay, here's the punishment. Now you need to go look your mom in the face. This is not new. We say this all the time. Dwayne alluded to it. You look at your mom in the face because that's a sign of respect. And you say, Mom, I am. And they cannot just go, sorry, Mom. It is ownership of it. I am sorry. Fill in the blank. They have to own the mess. They have to say what they did. I'm sorry for lying to you, Mom. And then there's a secondary question. What can I do to make it up to you? And what this is teaching our kids, there's something I can do to make it up to you. There's a second part. This isn't just say sorry, and that's my get out of jail card. This is, I'm sorry, and I know I got to do some work to restore this relationship. And sometimes it's as simple as say, hey, please don't do that again. Sometimes it's, I need a hug from you. Right? Sometimes it's when the kids are doing this towards each other, it's like, no, you're going to clean their room now, right? This is how you make it up. You're going to buy them a new one, right? It depends the level of things. But this teaches them how to restore the relationship. So parents, the big project, the big question for us is, how do we teach our kids to restore relationships? How do we do it? My mom taught it well, and I'm going to end with one story. My mom's got a lot of airtime today. She's a good woman. She kicked off small groups this week. Thank you for those that attended it. Yeah. It's not too late. We're kicking off a new topic in a couple Sundays from now. So Mondays, sorry, a couple Mondays. Don't miss it. But my mom told me the rule in our house, or it was a rule. When you were 16, you couldn't go over the bridge. That was where the big city was. So you had to stay on the little side cities of the bridge. And I got home. My mom's rule in our house was you had to wake up your mom. So every time you came home, woke my mom to make sure that I was home when I said. I got home during curfew, and she's like, "What'd you do?" And I said, "Oh, man, we got ice cream." And I did. I had gotten ice cream. And she goes like, "Where'd you get it?" "Oh, 31 flavors. And there was one in our small city." But the fact was, I didn't know it had closed for remodeling. But my mom, because she knows everything. She's like, "Really? I thought that one closed." "No, Mom, we were there. I got Superman ice cream, and a waffle cone is so good." Which was still telling the truth. I just omitted that the location was over the bridge on the wrong side. And I got caught. And the thing about kids is once you get caught in a lie, we got two options. Hunker down on the lie and keep telling it more and more, or own it. And I didn't own it. I kept to the lie, and I later with more lies, and eventually my mom had me. And I had got. It's midnight. And she's like, "Scott, I know it's closed." And I knew it too. It wasn't like I didn't know this. And so I knew she knew. I got caught, and I felt horrible. Like, she was crying because she felt dishonored. I lied to her, so I broke the relationship. And I quickly apologized, but I'm sorry for lying to you and being dishonoring to you. I did not know at the time to say, "Hey, what can I make up to you? How can I make it up to you?" So I go to school the next day, and there was a punishment. Like I could only drive to school and work. No longer could I drive anywhere else. And on my way home from school, I stopped at the local grocery store and got a dozen roses, and I put them on the table, and I had a little note in there: "Mom, I'm sorry for lying to you again, and these roses are for you to know how much you matter to me and how much our relationship matters." But what I didn't know I was doing, I was making it right. I was doing something. I was actively moving in a direction to restore my mom's relationship with me, not to 100% status quo or to get my punishment reduced. It was, no, I severed this relationship with my mom. She does not trust me as much anymore. I need to make it right. Maybe somebody's just hearing that in a relationship, but you got to go make some relationships right. You got to do something. You said sorry, but you didn't say "I'm sorry," and you didn't fill in the blank. "I'm sorry for using foul language to you, honey. How can I make it up to you?" That's great. Own your mess. Put I'm in it, identify the mess, and then how can I make it up for you? So I hope somebody got something out of this. Dwayne, thanks for asking the questions, for clarifying what our preference is and what our biblical things. And I have so many more notes here because this parenting thing people need help with. And if we don't adhere to some of these things, we're just going to parent out of easy. Right, Dwayne? You ever get caught in that? I'm just going to parent out of easy. Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. I get caught on that. Yeah, I get caught in it. It's like, oh my gosh. And hopefully, my prayer is I do that less and less than more and more, right? Like I stop parenting in the easy and I get up or stop what I'm doing, put the phone down, get off the iPad and engage and help make quality human beings that will give, hopefully at some point, surrender their life to Jesus, their personal Lord, Savior, and King. So, Lily, hope you got something out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody at home, thanks for watching today. We love you so much. Dwayne, we love you. Thanks,
Bye, Dwayne.
Thanks for hanging around. We know you got stuff you got to do, so we'll let you hit the road, Dwayne. Be safe in your endeavors. Thanks for being a small group, Dwayne, okay?
Absolutely. See y'all.
Adios.
Bye.
Next week will be another great week as we're going to talk about, we'll probably have Epic back in and talk about how does he honor his mom and dad. It'll be a fun one.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Oof.
Got
Yeah.
a week to think about it.
We're going to
I
have
think.
Excited.
Icon sitting in here too. She's going to say, so you get a boys version, girls version. And then we're going to talk about Lily. How does she honor her mom and dad as her parents are divorced and not Christ followers. So how does that look? So we're
And
going to
they're older.
And they're older. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover it from my perspective of how do I, as my parents are older than Lily's parents, and how do I, as I'm older than Lily, and how do I honor? So we're going to answer that question. What does it look in every stage of life to honor your father and mother? We're going to ask our special guest today to wrap us up in prayer, because why not? Why not have a young man of God pray over all of us? Would you pray up?
Yep. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day we had today. I ask that somebody would have gotten something out of today's teaching. I ask that they would be able to apply it very easily and just follow you with everything else they do. Dear Heavenly Father, amen.
Amen. Good job, Epic.
awesome.
Thanks for being with us today.
That was fun.
It was a good day. Lil, how easy for people to partner with us with the resources, give their tithe and offerings and things here at Unlock Church? You say it's so easy that Dwayne can do it, but it can be done in 30 seconds. But how do they do it?
Yeah, super simple. You can text the word unlock to 77977 and follow the prompts, or you can go to unlockchurch.com/give. And we're super grateful for your partnership and what we're doing here.
That's correct. And we have a heaps of upcoming events. We do have digital small groups. It was great to hear that Katie and Steve, Marnie and Dwayne and my mom Mary were all in there. And we want you to join it. It's a great way to connect with people that you're speaking with in the chat and things like that. It's another way to digest what we're talking about.
Yeah, the next one is on Monday, the 17th. So you can get involved. You can go to unlockchurch.com/upcoming events and get signed up, and we'll get you plugged in and get you the link to join. And it's a really good time discussing topics like today.
Yeah, it's a great way to unpack thoughts, apply in your life, and make relationships. That's it. Lily's like, okay, let's end it. See you later, everybody. Adios.
Bye.
Peace.